My name is Nathan, and today we're going to do a full comic book review of Mom, Mother of Madness, issues number 1 through 3, the complete story, EMILIA Clarke's comic book, brought to you by Rated Comics. First, I'd like to say, if you like the comic, support the art, support the industry, link in description if you wish to purchase any of the comics, and also timestamps will be in description if you want to go from issue to issue or whatever review you want to go to. With that being said, let's get to it. Now, I know this is EMILIA Clarke's comic book from Game of Thrones, Khaleesi. This is pretty interesting, I gotta say. It's a lot going on in this book. We start with this character named Maya. You can tell she has a necklace of EMILIA Clarke. It's at a Clapton Art Museum in March 2049, and this is just it looks like a heck of a party. She's 29 years old, a single mom, a high school dropout, a chemical engineer part-time, sex worker, Thai food junkie, who isn't, and biological freak of nature. We're gonna get more into that. So in this party, you know, there's some conversations going on. It's very meta, very it's very open. I mean, this girl Maya just seems like the kind of girl you want to have a cocktail with, you want to go on a dance with. Just she definitely does not lack any dull moments in her. You can tell. There's even pictures, having dialogue in here. This book is very interesting. But there's a funny moment happens in this feminist party. Well, I don't know what that stain is, but it definitely, first thought, you know what I'm thinking. Second thought, you know what I'm thinking. And everyone else at that party is thinking that too. So she runs out of there. But she has an interesting power where her depending on her state, and her iWatch tracks her emotional state, her superpowers triggered. But now we go into the backstory of who Maya is and how this came about. We see that younger girl back in 2028 of Maya, and with her father and mother, and her father's giving her mother some medicine. Maya does say she was adopted and she was left at the hospital as a newborn, but these her adoptive parents loved her, and she says she wouldn't choose any other way. Now she talks about a tragic death with her parents, and that just started like a broken heart and a downward spiral of things. Like, what are you supposed to do when you're a good girl and your parents pass away? You lower your head, you lower your eyes, and just keep it moving. But in her moment, she did some more cleaning, and as long as I'm down and upstairs and hear the ringing of how not they are when she's talking about cleaning while having a remembrance of her parents, it's like she's cleaning so deeply, she's cleaning atoms. But then she takes these pills that trigger her superpower. Now we fast forward to 2049 with her being a mom and her son named Billy, and she's moved in with a platonic neighbor named Benny who secretly has a crush on her. The thing that's confusing about this book in this first issue, and I'm willing to forgive it, is it goes back, it goes forward, and it goes back, and it goes forward. It's kind of jarring as a reader when it should just be one continuous story. Or if you're going to go back, maybe give the flashback in issue number 2. That's just what I would do if I was writing a comic, but I'm not the one writing a comic. It's kind of a cool moment when her son Billy tells Benny, the platonic neighbor, like, you really need to get your life together, and you know what? You need to actually ask my mom out for a date. So we see these moments where Maya's powers kicks in, and we see her augmentation of her breastises right here, and it's like, and then her skin gets like transparent and turns into a ghost, and she goes into how her powers are triggered by her emotional state. Like, for example, when she's happy, she starts to melt like a goopy pile of human fondue. When she's laughing, her laughter is unladylike, and it has a frequency to shatter glass and objects. And she also talks in when she's angry, she's super strong and fast. When she's anxious, she gains supersonic hearing. When she's frightened, she's invisible. But at the peak of all her powers, when all her emotions go, her eyes blaze gold, and this is known as her pinnacle. And so she fights off these thirsty Thundercat boys that try to do something with her. So as her job as a chemical engineer, we see her banter here. But when her parents died, this guy, I believe his name is John, as a way to help her pay her through college, she had to work for him as a chemical engineer. So we see this cool dialogue where her and his daughter, Wanda Boone, just a cool name, by the way, and just more backstory and how her powers are triggered, the life of her. But in this funny part right here where she gets so mad at John, her boss, but even though she's a good worker and he knows it, she gets so mad that her strength kicks in, crushes the door handle, takes it off, dislodges it, and he's claustrophobic and he can't get out. There's a really awesome moment in here where it shows like her mommy superpower, hectic. It's relatable as a mother, because I'm a single dad myself, that the stuff you have to deal with as a single parent. But now you're a superhero, and the balance, and an employee and a friend and all this kind of stuff. I mean, yeah, my pro with this book is there is a lot of book to go off with this, and it's a very interesting backstory with with a human trafficker and his camera lens that she's able to spy on. It unlocks some mystery there. My only negative with this book is it's a lot of book, and I would have liked to seen it take its time with little by little, like maybe the first issue, a day in the life of a single mom. The second issue, or backstory, how she got her powers. And the third issue, the climax, if it's, or however you're gonna do it. I think it's a lot of book for what it is. But at the same time, this book is also like, let's say when you go to a restaurant, a brand new restaurant for the first time, you know the food is good, but they need some time for the employees and chefs to work together, gel together, and iron out all the kinks. But the food still came out really good. And I thought the story was really original. And I got to say, if this is her debut, this girl's got some talent, and I am looking forward to seeing how this comic book develops and just materializes as a story. With that being said, this book is definitely worth giving it a chance, but comment below, let me know your thoughts. So we begin this issue off with Garden State Trailer Park in 2036. Tiff asks Maya, "Are you okay?" Maya responds with, "I'm just feeling sick." Like, doctor sick? That's what Tiff asks. Maya says, "No, it's that time of the month." Ah, the big shame, the curse of Eve, the time to go sit on moss for a few days. I don't know what that means, but I love when you call that time of the month the curse of Eve. And fellas, with your ladies, that time of the month ain't no joke. Sometimes a Starbucks and a Chick-fil-A can really save you from that stuff. And some chocolate to go with it. Maya tells Tiff, "Maybe I'll just be happier if I just accept it. Try to fit in, make myself smaller, quieter, tidier, and more available." You know, she's kind of trying to conform to society with whatever women go through with this kind of time of the month stuff. And Tiff tells her, "No, girl, don't drink that Kool-Aid. It's not even a name brand." So this comic touches on the concepts of gender roles and patriarchy. For example, Tiff holds up a picture of a buff guy and a picture of a, attractive looking woman eating ice cream, melting and dripping all over her. She says one is a power fantasy and the other is objectification. When you imagine yourself as this guy, there are zero downsides. It feels good. It tells people in power, you're great, you deserve it. When you imagine yourself as the other, like this girl, you feel bad. The price of, oh, people might actually like me now, is your personhood and agency. You get mad into a thing and no say in how people see you. So in other words, she's pretty much trying to say it's a gender scam. That's an interesting way to put at it. It's kind of interesting how this breaks down, but it's also adding more confusion and torment to Maya. But with that being said, conforming to the patriarchy and gender roles of society, one wrong move and you fall and you die and you will deserve it. I mean, I gotta laugh at that, but in a way, there is some truth to it. There is a system in place that puts a handful of people on top and then tells everyone else to hate and hurt and police each other into the ground. And with very, very few exceptions, ain't nobody else getting into that club. So in other words, there's people on the top pulling the strings. But Maya, at the end of this page, says love is ultimately the answer to everything. Now we're back to 2049, the apartment of Maya and Billy Cooper. Now, Maya, it's kind of interesting that the narration of this book, it talks to you as a reader, and there's a lot of exposition and jump backs and forth, and they know that, but each exposition, it portrays or pertains to an important event that is going to foreshadow something later. So Maya, Billy, and Benny are having a conversation on the couch. Benny is this guy that Maya is living with that it hints that he does have feelings for Maya. Billy says, "Maya, I always knew there was something so strange and special about you. Admittedly, you get superpowers when you're on your period?" That's okay. That's weird. Where she breaks down her powers to Benny. So when she gets mad, she gets strong and fast. When she's upset, she's invisible. When she gets scared, she gets supersonic hearing. When she laughs, things can get broken because when she laughs, her frequency is so loud that glass and other stuff breaks. When she gets happy, she gets all squishy like a kitty. And when she's sad, Benny adds she heals. Benny decides to do something for Maya. She takes Maya to Henry, the garment district. Turns out there's this girl named Henrietta, but she does all this couture and fashion design. And she talks about she puts the name, a French name on her garments, even though she's not French at all. That way people pay the actual price that her work is worth. Clever, misleading, but clever. So she tells Maya, any friend of Benny is a friend of mine. He's helped me out. He's helped me out with some stuff. And if you're gonna do your nightly exploits, let's get you something. And as far as I'm concerned, don't worry about money. This is a charity for me and a tax write-off. Okay, it's very untraditional in a superhero comic or superhero story to dangle out your secret identity like, hey, it's me, I'm the mom of madness. But I totally get it, and I think it's refreshing when she can rely and ask other people for help. As a single mom, you do need help. I'm a single dad, and trust me, you need help with some things sometimes. So next, Maya is taken to a brother named Alf. He's a therapist and a life guru. He looks like Gandalf, acts like Gandalf, and his legal name is Gandalf. All right. So they introduce each other, and she's offering Maya meditation to get her hormones in check and to know how to channel her own hormones when appropriate without relying on that time of the month. I know your bodies are emotions and they go hand in hand, and it's all going to be out of control. So in other words, he's trying to tell Maya, if your powers are really based on your emotions, we've got to get you in touch with your trauma, brain chemistry, inner child. Okay. I'll keep writing with this book, but I'm starting to get it. Then now in this page right here, Maya tells Jessica Boone her superpowers, and Boone is like, how could you not tell me? Wait, I mean, I know you don't, I don't mean that, but how could you not tell me? But then again, I totally get it because you are entitled to your privacy and bodily autonomy, right? But I mean, we work at a consumable pharmaceutical company. I can help you with this. And then Maya's being cool, like, yeah, I've been learning new mantras for body hormones. I turn invisible, see? But keep in mind, when she's upset, she turns invisible. So she's channeling her inner emotions to turn invisible, upset at will, instead of relying on that time of the month. Okay, well, let's keep going. So she trains. She gets her outfit, her costume, which it makes no sense. And I don't mean to sound like an oxymoron. It does make sense. Single mom, just trying to figure it out. Hormones all over the place. Boom. She's meditating with Gandalf, and her limbs and all that get stretchy. But keep in mind, when she's happy, she gets squishy and stretchy. So it all makes sense. But that costume is just a WTF kind of costume. I will go on with this beautiful mess. Now, in the basement of Maya and Billy's apartment, Billy gives Maya a sustainable electrical mobile, if I'm saying it right. Now, Maya, being sassy and everything nice, says not everything has to be 2 syllables and trendy. Well, girl, it's a work in progress. Just everyone is helping Maya out. Benny, Henrietta, Boone, and whoever else I'm missing. Now we get a little bit more of Maya's backstory in Garden State Trailer Park in 2038. They were poor, it was a recession, and Tiff and her had her back, and Harvey was the devil on her right. You know, they slept, they went to bed with their bellies full, they sold to cops, planted what they needed, they did what they did to get by, but Harvey was the emotional, verbal, physically abusive type to Maya. And one night, she takes one of those EPT tests, and she cannot believe this ish. She's pregnant but doesn't know how to tell Harvey. Now, some stuff went down. Tiff's gone. One of their rocks in their little schemes that they do, their jobs that they pull to make money. But for the first time, Ben raises hell that she just runs away and she can't tolerate it no more. Baby coming, it's not going to be the best life for her upcoming baby, which is soon to realize it's Billy. And we go through Maya's emotions, and she remembers the night that Billy came into the world. It's a miracle. She's alone. She's always alone. Then you're not. One becomes two, and you think every living creature comes into this world alone, and they say we go out of it alone. So she's pregnant, alone, hormones and emotions going all over the place, and I can only feel for her. But that isn't true anymore. Now that Billy's born, she's a mom, she's fighting crime, she feels she's on purpose, she's doing good things in the world, she's contributing. She always did it for the love of Billy because she wants to make the world a better place however she can for them and for Billy. Maya talks about for months things have been good. Alf's got her balance, Henrietta has made her costume bulletproof, even though it's a beautiful fashion design mess. But in a way, it's starting to grow on me though. Yellow and blue, it's bright, it's poppy. And I did not even notice out of her costume, is that her underarm pit hairs growing out of it? I do remember in the first issue when all things are kicked in, happy, scared, upset, nervous, like her powers are just all over the place. Now we see this scene right here where she's lifting a car out of the scene using her super strength. Keep in mind her super strength is when she gets mad, so she has to summon her inner madness. I guess all this emotion is getting, wearing or taxing on her. She says, I swear this has never happened to me before. And then we see her in the Bacala Museum turning invisible, and she reasons or tells herself that maybe she's just emotionally exhausted that she can't access her powers. Now it comes into, I don't think she's using her superhero gig as a way of social media influencers try to get brand deals, but we see this brand Vigilante. They're like, who is this mysterious woman? I don't know if she's some kind of social media star trying to get sponsors. Another guy, the guy on the other hand is like, no superhero has ever been commercially viable, especially in a costume like that. You can't even beat it off to? Okay, I wasn't thinking that. But now that you said it, I can't stop thinking that. Maya says, even though she's in the streets just going about her day, she sees her merchandise, knocked off merchandise using her image to make money. So Billy tells Maya still saving 3 people from house fires, finding 2 lost kids, forcing a CEO to lower the price of cancer medication, breaking up a frat situation about to turn foul, and you still at home making peanut brittle for a sleepover. Hey, all things are good. You can't maintain this for a while. Something's about to go down. Next page, we see Harvey coming back into her life, looking fresh, clean. Okay, this brother has his stuff together. She raised their kid without his help. Now he comes back looking like this. It's got to be some kind of guilt. What's your agenda, bro? And girl, why you biting your lips like that? We know what biting the lips mean. It means you biting the lips for a reason. So now in all this excitement as she goes into these thoughts, it shows that she's giving her son Billy a bath. Armpit hair going, she's getting stretchy, a mess all over the place. So I don't know if all her emotions are just running rampant from the thought of Harvey coming back into her life. So they go out for a walk in the town and Harvey apologizes to Maya. I'm so sorry for who I was, for what I did. I'll never be able to apologize enough for what I did to put you through, or what I put you through. We were so young back then, but that's no excuse. I'm not trying to cause trouble. He apologized for screwing up. He tells Maya, I will respect whatever boundaries you put in place. Child support, a kidney, a college tuition. If that's what Billy needs, I'm here. I got you. Thank you for your time. I hope this hasn't hurt you too much. Let me know what you decide. Maya even acknowledges, like, that was a great apology, honestly. Too great. But she looks up and she sees Billy looking down at her and she's thinking, okay, I'm a mom first, but this man who I left now is back in my life, who seems to have changed. Is it the best thing for Billy? We don't know that yet, but on top of all that you're dealing with, if you get a backstory, once again, another flashback of the home and Mark and Eve Kuiper, Maya's adoptive parents in 2031. It's an interesting story of how, despite all that her parents went through, they still had love. But the knockoff of it was her mom was watching a channel of how to make pasta with oyster mushrooms and freshly grated cheese. This pasta does look yummy though. But it turns out that night was a night of what became known as the notorious mushroom risotto massacre. So in other words, mom picked out the wrong mushroom for the pasta, and it really upset her that she had a total aversion about anything to poison. It was a poison control incident where she and her dad met, and they met their untimely fate. And now she does acknowledge, even though pertaining to the story, this backstory just gives it a backstory of Maya's character, it doesn't really propel the book forward, at least not in this issue. But Maya does acknowledge that, or the writers do acknowledge that, saying, I thought this flashback was going to be more helpful, but maybe it's foreshadowing for something down the line. Then we get this Caldwell Tower scene where we see this assistant, I don't know her name, and there's this other executive, we'll call her like the Cruella of Mother of Madness or something like that, get them younger. And it has something to do with trafficking children to make them invisible, to make them like mom, the mom hero. So she's doing all these tests with these kids because in her way of thinking, there must be a way to rise above all in this wretched humanity, this mere simpering, superficial femininity. I'm still trying to, okay, simpering. I kind of, simpering. Okay, so in other words, all in all, there's a lot of dialogue in here, but this is pretty much, you know, she's a human trafficker trying to fulfill an agenda. And then here's where Maya gets into a superhero mode, but also motherly at the same time. So she's interrogating this guy to find out where this homegirl's at, who's trafficking all the kids for her own personal agenda. He tickles her, hangs her upside down. He tickles her. She tickles him, hangs him upside down. She notices that his face has a reaction. And she's like, what's wrong, buddy? Your face, tell me. And he says, oh, peanuts. She realizes it was the peanut brittle that she made earlier. She was reckless with food allergy and didn't even ask. I'm the worst mother. Okay. That's refreshing on how you put it that way. So all in all, I gotta leave some meat on the bone with you guys, but this book does have a very cliffhanger ending. I'm looking forward to reading issue number 3. It's a lot going on. This comic touches on concepts like gender roles and patriarchy. I think it could have been done in a way instead of like a show me more approach instead of tell me approach. But at the very least, if a book is going to be more heavy-handed about the approach of delivering on that theme, okay, I guess I'd rather have it be Mother of Madness issue number 2. If this book also focuses on the plight of women, which I can appreciate, you know. So I gotta say, Maya forming a sort of support group with Henrietta, Billy, and everyone else, and Gandalf, who's helping her channel her, you know, her energy, her emotions. It's kind of a bit refreshing because usually in superhero books, you just don't talk about that. Obviously, this isn't a conventional superhero comic of punching and fighting, but clearly what Emilia Clarke and the writers want to convey is to maybe enact a little change. For that reason, this issue feels elevated and different from a conventional story. I also believe, in my opinion, this story is about Maya being a survivor, but also a victim of folks like her ex and how she moves on from them, how she became more powerful. That goes for her powers too, which are each tied to her emotion, as you know earlier. There are bits here and there in this book that have strong messages about being a woman and living a happy life. It may feel scattered, but those messages are still there. I would say, before I can make a final assessment on this book, it's definitely for mature audiences. I gotta see how this book concludes with issue number 3. In this issue, we begin with Billy, who finds himself in the office of a woman that his mother is trying to stop. And the dialogue here is kind of playful with Billy, and that's Billy's biological father who kidnaps him, but under the spell of this woman right here, who I can't even think of her name. I believe her name is Lucille Caldwell. It's in her tower. So Billy is like, okay, so you have my biological father kidnap me for your experimental pharmaceuticals as well as human trafficking? And Lucille's like, what a smart boy. How do you know that I'm a human trafficker? And he points to the cup, turns around the world's best human trafficker. Okay, all right, I'll go with that. So Lucille tells Billy, do you know why I'm trying to help all these women, Billy? I don't know, world domination like they do in the action movies? No, not out for world domination or anything about changing the system. I like things just the way they are. That's kind of confusing motivation to me, but then again, I'm gonna take it that the villain, her, Lucille, I'm gonna take it as she's misguided as some villains are, but at the same time, there's probably more complexity to her. So I'm gonna roll with it. Meanwhile, in the Hamptons, Maya, Billy's mom, finds coordinates from the code as she cracked up for Mr. Peanut. Now, keep in mind, her powers are derived from her cycle. When she gets mad, she's strong and fast. When she's upset, she's invisible. When she's scared, she gets supersonic hearing and all that kind of stuff. But because her cycles are low, so is her powers. But Maya tries to summon like her inner superhero mom, Mother of Madness. She's out for blood. She discovers the mushrooms, which are like cultivating mustard that Lucille's growing underneath her house. And it turns out when she does a little further investigation what these mushrooms are, she knows that Lucille Caldwell is a tech super genius and uber capitalist. And she's the mastermind behind all this and also the survivor of the mushroom risotto massacre. I don't know if I'm grossed out or hungry. I think I'm hungry. Maya gets a call from Benny. Benny tells Maya that Billy's gone. He left us a note saying, telling you not to worry. He's with his dad, not knowing that his dad has something to do with Lucille. And she's like, okay, I have to get to Billy because his dad is not really all the way right based on the history explained in issue number 2. So a random guy decks her from behind, knocks it out unconscious. When she's knocked out unconscious, Henrietta, Elf, and others are alerted about Mom being MIA and the coordinates from her suit, and they all come to her rescue because this is about to go down. So Maya wakes up in Caldwell Tower. Lucille Caldwell is holding her son in her hands, and she tells Maya, hello, I'm Lucille Caldwell. And of course, what any mother would be like, Billy! You know, Mom, what the hell's going on? Well, she probably won't say that. No custody before you put money in the jar. So Lucille's like, my operative showed me your phone. Show me your phone when he brought you in. I see you found my own little tragic backstory, and that turned me into a millionaire overnight. I don't know if this dialogue makes sense. Why are you doing this? You're a woman? Okay, I'll roll with that because since Maya is a new hero, maybe it's for her, it's hard to believe that women can pull off such crimes of this magnitude because she's used to dealing with men. Then again, let's all be real here. Men and women are all both capable of criminal activity, but because of Maya's naiveness, I'll go with it. So she explains why she's doing what she's doing. Lucille explains, I know the pressure's on women to be fair and fit and pretty and need to be a CEO and a stay-at-home mom, a girl boss, cool girl, trade wife, all at the same time. I know they'll pay whatever the cost is. The world is sick and everyone is longing to be a glamorous cover girl or buff action hero, and I can sell that to them. No man can control me and no woman can challenge me. After all, I have to be more than human, no emotions to weaken me, and no attachment to slow me down. I have to become better than better and become perfect. So in other words, she's selling women their own misery back to them to be. This to me sounds like feminist movement, but on a capitalist level. That's what it sounds like to me. And then Lucille just gets more cold, and she's like, the key word in female empowerment isn't in light anti-patriarchal progressivism, Maya. The key word is power. That's what she's just power hungry, and this is pissing Maya off because one, she has her son, and two, she's going about it all the wrong way, and she still adds more salt to the wound by speaking of it. Look how weak you are, Maya, as a kitten without those silly powers. With your help, I'm going to harvest what makes Mom so very special. So she tells her, whatever the chemicals that soaked in your blood down your parents' laboratory, call back to issue number 1, gobbling up millions of dollars are spent on experimental pills, that's what I'm going to take from you. I'm going to take your blood. And if I can't take your blood, then I'm forced to take it from your son. Which one do you want? Don't you see? I read your mother's papers. I read your father's studies. Indeed, I was the one funding your parents' research. Everything discovered that came right from my desk, and your powers came from me. So damn, it's kind of like a whole revelation that Lucille was behind it all along. And she reminds me, even when we kept tabs on you after your parents' deaths, I never realized that their experiments lived on with you. And now they're going to live on in me, and I'm going to be the perfect woman. And if you don't want that sweet baby boy of yours to die, and she threatens her with that big needle, oversized needle, then maybe you're going to need to behave. By which I mean, of course, submit. And look, I see nothing wrong with the women submitting, but I get the joke here. And look at you, low in your cycle. Aren't you disconnected from those emotions that let you rule your life? How disappointingly typical, Maya. Once I got your DNA, I'll make my own picture perfect family, flawless in any way. The emotions that Maya must be going through, you don't have to make the perfect the enemy of the everything. Just accept that you're imperfect and that you are human. Hey, you know, that's what makes life beautiful, right? But anyways, you will never be happy. That's what Maya tells Lucille. And she's like, well, I'm going to take that pill and we'll see about that. And then when she takes the pill, swallows it, she morphs into a monster. And this monster is like, whoa, dude. Okay, well, I want to take this as a joke that this might be a woman's raging hormones where, okay, I'm sorry, Starbucks and Chick-fil-A, chocolate's not going to cure it. But then again, okay. And then Maya's like, wow, you're finally the perfect woman. So what happened since perfect doesn't exist? What made Maya turn into superhero mom, but that very same pill made Lucille turn into this monstrosity. Turns out her hatred and contempt and her deliberate lack of empathy for everyone around her is what rotted her. Whatever fifth element chemicals that make the pill work, there was no dopamine or any effect, no peace or happiness or love inside of her that made her turn into what Maya turned into that after she took that pill. Maya turned into that loving superhero because she's a mom. She has love for Billy, empathy, and memories. Lucille? None of that. None of that. So now, this is not your typical fairy tale happily ever after right here. Maya puts on her mask, and I kind of like this dialogue that Maya tells her right before she, gets ready to fight. I told you once before that this was a story of a beast who became a beauty, and a beauty who became a beast. I kind of like that reference right there. It all goes down. I kind of like this vroom, but okay, this car is going bat crazy. And it turns out it's Benny, Maya's roommate and love interest. He comes into Caldwell Tower, steamrolling in there. And I don't know how he knows about the Halo, but he walks upstairs and he sees all these people in cages, and it turns out Lucille was using them for trafficking. She was kidnapping them for their genes, harvesting cells from the prettiest, the smartest to any kind of gene of superiority, intelligence, all that, just to make herself more superior. And they all march out of there and they see Harvey, and Harvey's like, oh, cheese? Okay, cheese sounds like a great idea. Just wrong time right now because it's a riot, you guys. And not only Maya is fighting this oversized Lucille dragon that embodies evil estrogen here, but it's just like, it's all going down. And why is Billy and Harvey slapping each other? It's like an ultimate sign of disrespect when a dude slaps another dude. The more I look at this, it's kind of funny. So Billy runs to Aunt Boone. All the people of New York, they come to the rescue of Mom because of her tracking suit. We see Henrietta. We see Al Gandor, the person that helps Mom channel her energy, and now they're just going all at it. Wham! Hirsch! Crashing! A woman's work is never done! Let's have a bet your imperfection versus my power, and the winner takes Billy! And she goes to work again. And after all your genes and all your love and all that is more, he could be the perfect child short of cloning myself. And Lucille takes Billy and runs away, and Maya in her weakest state could just look and be in disappointment and, have a reflection of throughout her life, you're not enough, you're crazy, you're used up, you're supposed to be everything and more if you're a woman, more than human, so many gifts, one more feminist, one more white savior, imperfect, and therefore a freak, a fake, and a failure, a mere accident, a science of chemicals in your body, the pills in the laboratory, you were never special. But she is special. She's a mom. She has love. What's left of her? Atoms, memories, love. I'm a woman. She's a mother. She's Maya. She's Mother of Madness. And that summons like the inner power that's more powerful than all of estrogen and hormonal activity combined. How would I know that? I don't know. I'm just going off the comic book here. And Maya's like, hey, Lucille. Well, and Lucille's like, whoa, how dare you? How is this happening? Cells, genes, chemicals. I'm stronger than everything you think I'm made of, than anything you could think you used to define me. I am in charge of my own body, mind, and soul. I bring my powers at will. I decide my powers now, and I decide how to use them. And she goes to work and work and work. And even Lucille is like, oh, okay, yeah. She pummels her to the ground, wipes the floor with her. Billy goes to Mom. Hi, Mommy. And then Harvey goes to Lucille. Oh, what? I don't see what I did wrong. And then Billy tells Maya, his mom, I'll be right back. He gets some mushrooms, and it's the source of Lucille's power. And then Billy tells his mom that Lucille bred these mushrooms and harvested them, and they're where her chemicals come from. So in other words, Maya gets this brilliant idea. Hey, I hope you enjoy a taste of your own medicine. And then she shoves that mushroom down her throat, kicks her out the window, and that is her falling to her demise. Now, I got to leave a little meat on the book because there's probably 10 more pages of this comic book right here, because this review can get long and lengthy. But the aftermath of this is, first, the siren. Second, Benny was getting to go fund us for the medical bills for the people inside. 3, the people they freed, the human rights activists tried to find housing for them. And then, the welcome home and instant empathy and the aftermath of people disliking, hating, tweeting. You say what you will about Mom. They all have their opinions about it. But the fact of the matter is, she left an impact on him. So what I got to say about this book, I mean, I still believe it's a story about Maya being a survivor and a victim of what she's been through and the trauma she's been through and the inner power that she has. I mean, there's a lot of messages here about being a woman and living a happy life, and it's okay to be imperfect. I kind of take that as also as a jab in social media, how social media paints a picture of, you know, a Picasso kind of lifestyle. But behind the scenes, that's really not it. That's just someone's highlight reel, and you're comparing their whole life to that. That's kind of what I'm taking it as. Now, I do have some twerps with the dialogue in here, because I think it didn't hit home with me right away, like when Maya tells Lucille, hey, why you're doing this, you're a woman. Reflecting on it and rereading it, I believe it's because Maya's so new at being a hero, and the criminals she was dealing with were mostly men. It was shocking to her to see a woman pull off something of that magnitude. It's interesting, it's fun in a way. The dialogue, it has some goofy moments, but I think it'll entertain and amuse you. And it tells a story that's intriguing enough with the premise that leaves you probably wanting more. Let's just say the ending of this book has a cliffhanger, and if another issue were to come out, I will give it a dab. I'll give it a dab. I'm not going to give it a dab like as quickly as like the next Death of Doctor Strange or the next Spanish. I'm not going to quick to read like that, but it will be on my Rolodex to read. So that's my opinions on it. My overall grade on this issue is a 7 out of 10. You may feel different about it, but hey, I gotta leave some meat on the bone so you can make that decision for yourself. With that being said, Mother Madness, issue number 3. Link in description if you guys want to get the comic book, by the way. Or issue number 1 and 2 if you want to get that comic, those issues too. If you like the content we're throwing up, you know what to do. Don't be shy and don't be stingy. Here at Rated Comics, we do awesome comic book reviews, comic book related content with the occasional comic book reviews. Thanks again for watching. Until next time.